And welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips with the returning Ed Smith. I freaking missed the heck out of you, man.
Oh, I appreciate you, Taylor.
So,
Thank you.
lots on our plate tonight. Spartans, Mel Tucker, Wolverines, Lions, previewing the Red Wings, and a little bit of Pistons preseason as well. But first, Mel Tucker, he's issued, and his lawyers have issued a 106-page letter with that he says it as new evidence. I'm not sure. Yeah, Brendan Tracy was the victim, of course, was the alleged victim. But I read a tweet from someone on a post on X somewhere from someone that it's all false. So I'm not sure if I may think that Mel Tucker and his lawyers are completely lying, but it all comes down to what's true and what's not, right?
That is correct, Taylor. And sometimes on its basis, on its simple ground, is probably seen as a simple he said, she said, in terms of trying to figure out how far exactly did Mel Tucker go? Was this consensual? Was it not consensual? That's the debate that's going to rage on. No matter what happens, no matter what result that we get, no matter what outcome we get from this Title IX case or the results of this investigation, or as more evidence comes out, you're just going to see this happening. So I'm more than prepared to see that discourse happening. As for whose side do I personally believe, to me, it doesn't quite matter, and whether or not you think Mel Tucker was being predatory or you think that Brenda Tracy was trying to set him up, because apparently, according to Tucker's team, there was key evidence that they had in terms of having against Brenda Tracy's word. Now, granted, most of these came out as text messages that were heavily redacted, which means what? It's not going to give you the full scope, not the full story, not the full context of what Brenda Tracy may be saying or texting in that moment or in the heat of that moment of that conversation. Some of those texts were bringing about, were mentioning how she may have financial incentives in some instances, while in another mentioning that this is not the first time that she's been or had a liaison of this nature, or had an affair with a coach. I believe Damon Stoudemire's name was mentioned as well. A lot of mudslinging going back and forth, to cut it to you short. As to how I think this will play out, I think it's simple. Mel Tucker is just trying to get, again, I'm going to keep repeating this, he's going to try to get whatever he can to salvage whatever money that he can get from the university, because even he knows deep down his heart of hearts, he screwed up. He messed up the situation. He was the one who broke the bylaws, broke the clause of his contract. He gave the school the justifiable reason to get rid of his ass. And if people are saying, well, they were looking for a reason, well, guess what? Don't be the dum-dum and give them the reason. If you want to,
Exactly.
listen, I'm not even trying to criticize Mel Tucker for having, for wanting to, do what he wants to do with another woman. If you want to do that, fine, that's well, then you're right. What I'm saying is, out of all the women in the world that you could have done this with, and supposedly you're not, being involved with your wife anymore, so hey, more fair play to you. But this is the woman that you choose to get yourself involved with, especially knowing that your school, that the university hired her or brought her on to be as someone that you could use to help teach and talk to your players about this. And then what do you do? Exactly. So I have no sympathy for Mel Tucker in terms of he was the idiot that got himself in this situation to begin with. In terms of, do I think he's a predator? The jury is still out on that. I honestly do not know who to believe at this point of the equation. But guess what? Whether or not Mel Tucker may or may not be a predator, that's not the main key. The main issue is he's still trying to get money from Michigan State, even though he knows he screwed up. And the school knows he screwed up. And it's just an embarrassing situation that seems is going to keep balling more and more. And frankly, I'm sure, well, no matter whose side you believe in the situation, you just can't wait for the day that they reach a settlement of some kind so that both sides can cleanse themselves of the situation once and for all. Because frankly, listen, I have no dog in this fight. All right, you already know which school colors that I happily cheer and root for each and every week. Okay, but I have great sorrow, sympathy, and empathy for whoever is a fan, a student, alumni, or just likes Michigan State in general, because enough is enough of this crap. It really is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it continues to be a developing story. Like you mentioned, the jury is out on whether Mel Tucker is a predator or not. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a one-time thing. But I could be wrong about it. Just let the truth be evident and public about this whole situation, and that's it.
Exactly. We can still all agree Mel Tucker still deserves to be fired.
Yeah, of course. I'm not really sure about the legal trouble or not, but the important thing is Mel Tucker's fired, and the Spartans. Yeah, and the Spartans, by the way, they lost to Iowa. They gave them a fight, but they got the bye week after that. I did not expect Iowa to still win by a close margin. I expected the Hawkeyes to rout the Spartans, considering how Michigan State has completely fallen off the wheels. Their first two losses, both at home to Washington and Maryland at Spartan Stadium in East Lansing, since Tucker got the heave ho. But the Spartans actually managed to at least play with some pride and still give Iowa a fight. And they still lost, but it looked like a battle when I expected it to be a rout. But now the Michigan State Spartans.
It may have been a rout if McNamara stayed in the game. Let's not forget he did get injured midway through. That was a complete momentum shift. It shook Iowa. I think it took them out the game a little bit. It gave Michigan State that little bit of breakaway, that breathing room. That 3 inches, 3 inches open of space just to them for not quitting, for not laying down. But unfortunately, it was just many mistakes and actual key moments. It was just too much to overcome. And losing in that fashion would have to take a toll on you mentally in some way, shape, or form as well. So you have to wonder how is that going to carry over into this game against Rutgers, who, by the way, is a 4.5-point favorite over Michigan State, which is saying something.
Yep, Saturday at noon again on the Big Ten Network. Greg Schiano's still the head coach. Yeah, Rutgers lost to Michigan, as we recall, 31-6, like 2 weeks ago. But I still think Rutgers is decent.
Because, yeah.
3, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I still think Rutgers can beat Michigan State. Well, speaking on Rutgers' behalf, but the Spartans, I think they're going to give Rutgers a fight the same way they gave Iowa a fight on the road. This is another road game for Michigan State.
I agree with you that they'll give Rutgers a fight. I just don't know if there'll be enough to cover the spread, because Rutgers, they're either 4-1 or 5-1. I forget what the exact number is, but they've been consistent in terms of when to bet money on, be as underdogs or as favorites. Even Michigan, they were able to get a push against them. So it's going to be interesting to see how that 4.5 line gets covered or not. Worth noting that the last 2 times that these two teams have met, the combined point total that has been totaled up was Michigan State 58, Rutgers 34, and that includes the close one-score game from last year that Michigan State won, where both teams were in the 20s. Worth noting that because, as you know, notable things have happened just to the MSU roster over the past off season. Transfer portals, key players leaving, Peyton Thorne going to Alabama, Keon Coleman going to Florida State. By the way, how much of a beast has he looked since suiting up for the Seminoles? Guy looks like an absolute projected NFL draft pick for sure. I cannot believe that he was not getting the amount of targets that he was getting. That he was not getting in MSU.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and Ed, I think you're cutting in and out. Yep, but I can still hear
you. Yeah, but anyways, you're dealing with a Rutgers team that has a top 15 scoring defense. They really do not give up that many, because I mentioned that because they're, in terms of points per game, their average, it's about 14.7. They've given up just under 15 points a game as a defense. The one outlier was Michigan for obvious reasons. Between that and also knowing that I think you're going to expect Rutgers to run the ball much better this time around than they did against Michigan. And also, let's not forget, I believe I've been hearing some murmurs, some rumblings, especially on sites such as Spartan Shadows, for example, that Michigan State may have a new starting quarterback for this game. So instead of Noah Kim, you may be seeing, I believe it's pronounced Kattenhauser. He will be getting the nod at the QB1 spot for Michigan State. All those factors in consideration, the fact that, like my worst fears were confirmed. Mark D'Antonio is looking.
Looking what? Oh, I think we lost you again. All right. So, yeah, we apologize for the technical difficulties, but Ed's still with us.
I'm just making sure you can hear me before I continue.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah, with Mark D'Antonio being not being so much that inspirational presence, or just essentially looking like a statue out there, standing out there on the sidelines, no headset. You wonder what the hell he's even doing, being there to begin with. If they brought him in just to do nothing, it's just things are not, as to say the least, cohesive for this MSU team. To where, I don't know, they may give it all their got. If this were at home, I would say lean towards them trying to get a gritty, gutted out win. But I just think Rutgers' scoring defense, their ability to run the ball, and knowing they're at home, and knowing how Shiano works, they're just going to be too much to handle for MSU. So I think Rutgers, they'll win and they'll cover the points, like a 28-14 kind of score, 28-17 kind of deal.
All right. Yep. I'm going to go Rutgers 31, Michigan State 10. Just to further bury the grave here. All right, so the Michigan Wolverines, they crushed the Minnesota Golden Gophers 52-10 at TCF Bank Stadium. Yeah, they dominated the first half, except they let in a touchdown. They allowed a touchdown at the end, but they dominated the second half as well with a pick six. Keon Sabb, of course, a pick six by Sainris still to begin the game. Will Johnson, rather. Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Yep, Sainris still was last time out.
Yep. But hey, it's just another total domination in a hostile environment in a Big Ten matchup. But it was a full house at TCF Bank Stadium. But the Michigan Wolverines, they did what they were supposed to do, just like the Lions did against the Carolina Panthers, which we'll get to momentarily. Hang tight, folks. But Ed, your thoughts on the last three games for Michigan, especially in Minnesota?
Yeah, very similar parallels. I'm glad that you mentioned the Lions as well, because the way Michigan treated this game against Minnesota, just like they've done the past couple games, honestly, especially against Nebraska and now here against Minnesota, it's a business meeting. It's a business trip. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're going in there, you're taking care of the trash, you're not getting yourself messy, and then you're coming back home. That's all there is. You're just doing your simple basic fundamentals. You're running the ball the way you're supposed to run the ball. You're getting turnovers. You're being ferocious on defense. You notice, by the way, the offense, you're not turning the ball over. You're not putting your defense in precarious spots. the way J.J. McCarthy did in the Bowling Green game. You notice since the Bowling Green game how much better, how much more fluid he has looked, both in the pocket and outside the pocket, making throws across his back to the end zone for touchdowns. Kid looking like he's got NFL first round draft pick potential. It's balanced out between the running backs. Corum getting his bell cow yards in. Donovan Edwards making use of his touches. His name escapes me at the moment. The guy that was converted from linebacker over to running back now. Stillings, maybe his name. You'll probably correct me a little bit, Taylor. But yeah, he's been shown to be an effective piece for this team as well. Mason Graham on the defense. Chris Jenkins. I've already mentioned some of the guys in the secondary, like the Sanders Stills, the Will Johnsons, and all that stuff. But this is an absolute total team unit that has shown you now why not only this is Harbaugh's most talented team, that they're also why they've been the back-to-back reigning defending Big Ten champions and why they should have themselves in a favorable position to get a spot for the playoffs this year, because now they're approaching midseason form. You were wondering for the first couple of games when you're going to get out there.
Playoff.
Yes, I know, but you still got ways to go. Granted, but you're looking at basically you're in the driver's seat. You're controlling your own destiny. You're a number 2 for a reason. If you hold serve, and assuming Georgia doesn't even lose, you'll be number 2 all the way through, even after going through the toughest games of your schedule. And you're doing this by following your game plan, following your true blueprint in your DNA, and being consistent and taking care of business efficiently leads to situations to where you score as many points as you did this past Saturday as Minnesota had passing yards total. Okay, you have perfect efficiency in the red zone. Your starters are only playing 3 quarters. PJ Fleck, he's giving very similar to how Greg Schiano complimented Michigan after the Rutgers game. PJ Fleck said that, quoting him, this is like amongst one of the best teams I've ever seen in all my 11 years of coaching. That's ultimate compliments and ultimate kudos from the other side of the sideline. So hearing that being said about your team says something. And the fact that this is now the 4th time in the Jim Harbaugh era that this team has gone 6-0 to start the season. Remember days when Michigan was just celebrating just to get the 6 wins to be bowl eligible, whether you're on Rich Rod or Brady Hoke? Now 6-0 starts seem to be the expectation, seem to be the norm. So seeing that transformation under Jim Harbaugh, seeing players go to the NFL, winning games, you're finally starting to win the Big Ten championships, you're beating Ohio State. There's only one thing left to do. You got to finish the story. The story is not finished yet. There's still a journey. There's still roadblocks. There's still hurdles. There's still things you have to get through to knock off that bucket list. But the main objective is there. You got to win that national championship. Even if it means you got to beat Georgia to do it, so be it. But there's a way to do it. You still got to get it. You still got to get it done.
Yeah, especially that semifinal round. Can't lose to teams like TCU or anything like that. You can't fall behind 21-3. You gotta be more aggressive in the first half.
Yeah, can't be throwing picks. Can't be throwing pick sixes. You can't be getting stuffed at the goal line either. Trying to get cute.
It looks like that's what Michigan has been working on in the regular season games thus far.
Well, you've seen it so far, and the score is represented as of late. They have found that next gear that they were being criticized of not finding early enough in the season. Well, guess what? They picked the right time to do it now, because as you steamroll through the rest of your October schedule, you're going to need to load up, because November will be the real test. Penn State, Ohio State. That's your tests. And I would argue that Penn State will be the more difficult test than Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. But hey, even Michigan's even up to that, too. It's in Happy Valley, but hey.
It's likely going to. I don't know if it's
before.
I don't know if it's a night game or not. It may be the night game, but like I said, that's your toughest remaining game on the schedule. But for now, you gotta, you're handling business the way you're handling it, like you did last week, like you did the week before, and like you're gonna do likely here against Indiana. Because guess what? You're a 33.5 point favorite. You're not, and by the way, and you're not expecting. You're talking about the Penn State game?
Yep.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's not going to be a night game. So expect a raucous crowd, but it's not like your ultimate nightmare scenario like it was a couple years back at a night game at Happy Valley where you got bum rushed. So even still, you have all what it takes. Even if Penn State's defense is as good as possible, James Franklin is still their head coach. He will find some way to put you in advantageous position to win. But as for what Michigan can do right now, what they're doing against Indiana, I expect this one to not be, again, very much similar in the line of what we've seen the past couple of games. Indiana, in years past, yes, they've been a tough out against Michigan. I don't expect the same this time around. Their run defense has been porous, to say the least. They've given up over 150 yards on the ground per average per game. All I can say is watch out for the weather. Make sure guys don't get hurt.
Goes both ways.
And I would say if Michigan, again, comes in with the mindset of we're just here to take care of business, you'll be seeing the starters out of the game by midway through the fourth quarter again. I don't know it'll be enough to cover that line because that is a big number, but Michigan, they'll be putting the hurt on Indiana for sure. So I can see this one being a 49-14 type of deal.
So, hey, yeah, so that's 35 points. Michigan will just barely cover. It's 33.5.
Yeah, so
that's the spread. So I'm going to go.
But again,
Michigan.
that's assuming if we're going to see the second unit get enough scores at the end, because we know the first unit will do their damage. The starters will do their damage. It's just how much can you see the second unit produce once they get their turn.
Yep, I'm going to go 49-10 Michigan just to be a little bit more fair.
Yeah, I expect this to be another notch on Harbaugh's belt as he not only passes Lloyd Carr in terms of overall win percentage in Michigan football history, he's soon going to likely pass Gary Moeller on that list too, which means he'll only be second to Bo in terms of overall and I believe conference win percentage as well. And not only that, he is looking to be on the verge of getting another contract extension. John U. Bacon reported in the past couple of days that even Harbaugh himself had mentioned it in a press conference that, this is something that he would like to see get done. There are talks, apparently, especially, again, we're citing back to John U. Bacon, that there may be a deal that gets done over the next month or so. And once it's done, it will make Harbaugh as the highest paid coach in all of the Big Ten, bar none. So think about this, right? This whole 3.5-year process where Harbaugh takes a pay cut. He's on the hot seat. People thinking he may get fired at one point. Now here you are, back-to-back Big Ten titles, back-to-back playoff appearances. You've beaten Ohio State's ass.
Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. You're beating Ohio State. You're the favorites to beat them again this year. You got MSU under control. The Big Ten runs through your turf. Yeah, this is literally everything that Harbaugh could have wanted. Strike while the iron is hot. Get your extension. Get your big bag. And, in Michigan, if you don't think this is going to be a lifetime extension, you think Harbaugh may be flirting with the NFL again in another year or so, okay, just give him a buyout option, tag it on there, and let's just call it a day. Because at this point, unless you know for sure what the line of succession is going to be, this is your guy. You've had him now for almost 10 years, too, and you're finally reaping on the rewards that you expected to see. Again, it took its time, but those rewards are finally being reaped. So why not lock that down as fast or as much as you can? Say, hey, we can get another few good years span out of this. Let's lock you down, lifetime expansion. We know you want to be here anyway. Let's lock it on down. And let's precursor to where, hey, if Plan Z happens, we give you a nice buyout on the way out. That's all there is to it.
Yep. So yeah, that's Michigan football. Now we can recap that Lions route and then preview their game against the Buccaneers. First off, the Carolina Panthers. The Lions beat them 42-24. The Panthers stay winless. The Lions improved to 4-1. And we'll check on the NFC North standings moment, right after we recap this game. The Lions led 28-10 at halftime. Yeah, yes, the Panthers tried to come back, but they failed miserably. The Lions came up with 2 interceptions by Jerry Jacobs and Aiden Hutchinson. The pass rush can come up with interceptions too, and it's happened a lot of times as well. But man, Jerry Jacobs 3 interceptions in his last 2 games. I got to be impressed.
3 picks in his last 2 games, and you know what also was impressive? The fact that that you did what you're supposed to do. I mentioned the fact that this was a business meeting because you have a winless football team with a rookie starting quarterback coming into your crib on 10 days. On 10 days rest because this is your first game after the Green Bay game. And what do you think was going to happen? Exactly what you saw. Even without Amon-Ra St. Brown, even without Jahmyr Gibbs, even without Brian Branch, no problem whatsoever. Even with Emmanuel Mosley, hearts go out to him. By the way, came back. This is like the 1 year ago. He tore his ACL, comes back, first game back, blows out his other knee. Awful, gutted for him. And by the way, it's not. I know Taylor, me and him were going back and forth a little bit. He was thinking, is he injury prone? I don't think so. I think it's just more so of a bad luck situation of him trying to overcompensate by putting so much pressure on. He was putting so much pressure on his other knee while trying to recover the one that he first injured. That I think it just overworked itself to a point where boom, you saw what happened, and it's still a next man up mentality. He goes down. Who you see step up? You see Jerry Jacobs step up. You see Will Harris step up. You're seeing guys throughout this lineup. Oh, by the way, Kirby Joseph, he's back in the lineup too. Tracy Walker's still there. Ife Melifonwo's still there. You have guys that are still there. Even if you got to grab Chase Lucas off the special teams and throw his ass in there for a play or two. You're going to have guys that are reliable, dependable, know their way around that defense, and that, hey, if all else fails, stick them in there, see what they can do. You saw what Will Harris was doing this week. Luckily, I would say you'll probably get Brian Branch this week, coming back for this week. And you know what? Who's to say that it's not out of the realm of possibility that you'll be getting back C.J. Gardner-Johnson before the end of the year. Because there's a reason why they put him on IR instead of saying, oh, he's done for the season. No. I believe they put him on there on that list with the expectation of we will have you back before the year is done in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and we don't, and some things we don't necessarily take for granted. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, for example, he does not give. He's a guy that will not give up.
No, and because you've seen it in terms of how he shows his emotion, shows his character on the field as well. That's a defensive leader that you want the rest of your team to rally behind. So having that type of energy back on the field, on the sidelines, once he gets back at 400%, will be seen as, in my opinion, a timely addition at the right time. Because this defense is already coming together as well. The fact that you cannot run on this team at all. Remember, every team and their grandmother used to run on us last year. But since the second half of the season and starting this year, top 10 run defense. Good luck to trying to average over 4 or 5 yards of carry on us. Not going to happen. And the fact that we're getting healthier, we're going to be healthier for this game against Tampa, which, by the way, it is a 4 p.m. flex. Lions, they're 3.5 favorites. Interesting to see that number for them, being that this is a road game. But Tampa's defense, they are tough. Their secondary is top 10 in terms of
a defensive
YPA.
slugfest.
Yeah, I'm expecting a good defensive battle because this is a Tampa defense that has a good secondary and a defensive line that will get at you, much like the Lions. Tampa's defense, they've averaged over 3 sacks a game. They've known to bring the blitz at over 40% a rate. Jared Goff, as we know, has had his struggles before against pass rushers or against extra blitz or extra rushers coming at him. So it'll be interesting to see how you game plan in terms of him getting the ball out of his hands as quickly as possible. On the other side of things as well, Baker Mayfield. I will dare say he's been looking quite better this past at the start of the season so far. 7 touchdowns, only 2 picks. passer rating at over 105. He's at a near 70% completion percentage.
That Lions secondary better be ready for that.
And on the police, not just secondary, that defensive line better be ready to deal with his mobility. I think he's only taking, remember his mobility and ability to move around, get up in the pocket and get away from coverage, get away from pressure, get away from any defensive lineman trying to get to him. It's going to be similar, I think, to how we saw the Lions were having some trouble trying to bottle up Patrick Mahomes or dealing with Geno Smith, for example. Those experienced, mobile, athletic, dual-threat QBs that know when to get out of pressure, get away at the right moment, and find a way to use that to take that up the field, use that opening against them, get a nice 5, 10, 15-yard scamper. We may see that happen a couple of times in this game because Baker has that mobility to escape the pass rush. The fact that he's only taken 4 sacks this whole entire season says it all. So that defense, in terms of dealing with Baker's escapability, that defensive line is going to have its work cut out for them. And I think the Lions' offense, in terms of trying to get big plays down the field with their passing game, will have this work cut out for them as well. Which is why I'd be wondering if we'll see a more of an increase in snaps for Jameson Williams. Because remember, he only got 20 snaps last week. And they were still trying to find ways to get him involved. Jared Goff did throw to him 3 times. Didn't have 2 catches. Yes, I know about the drop. We all know about the drop. But he's been also showing you he has other capabilities. Yes, I'm going to mention his run blocking. I know 97-1 will try to poo-poo it. But guess what? It's part of the damn game. You're playing football. You're on offense. You're not going to get the ball thrown to you every time. Make yourself useful. You see how other receivers are throwing out blocks. You see how your tight ends are throwing out blocks. Make yourself a part of the play. And guess what? We saw what happened when we make that happen. On that first touchdown run, by David Montgomery.
97-1 needs to STF you, by the way. They always try to be wrong.
Please. But on that first touchdown run, what do we saw that helped sprung it? Key block by Jameson Williams. And guess what? Jamo's got that burning acceleration
and
speed.
David Montgomery with that 42-yard touchdown run.
And you know what? Jamo's still so fast, he was sprinting right behind him just to catch up to him after giving the block. Just as excited and just as happy for his teammate. You don't hear that often, do you? But you don't hear about how Jamo was very excited to hear the news from Brad Holmes that he was back, that his suspension was over. You don't see or hear him talk about how, hey, here's Jamo helping out his teammates, being excited for his teammates. No, you don't want to focus on that shit, do you? You want to focus on the dreadlocks. You want to focus on the tattoos. You want to focus on who he got suspended. Please, get out of my face with that bull crap.
It's done and over with. It's time to play the game.
Right. And guess what? He's playing the damn game. And guess what? I think he did a damn good job last week. So this week, he's going to get more chances. He's going to get more opportunities. And watch him make the most of it.
Yep. He's going to keep blocking, and he might get a few catches down the road as he progresses.
Especially, not to mention, you get that option, right? Oh, shit. Now we got to look out for Gibbs and J-Mo? Oh, shit. We got to look out for Amon-Ra? Oh, shit. We got to look out for Laporta?
Oh, man. Laporta's made 2 touchdown catches in his last 3 games.
Laporta has been a beast.
Heaven forbid.
Laporta, in my opinion, is the next great tight end in this league. In my opinion, he's already the 3rd best tight end in this league right now, just behind Kelsey and Kittle. Think about that.
Move over, T.J. Hawkinson. Thank you very much.
Oh, please. Moved on from his ass in a hurry, just like we moved on from Jamal Williams. Please. Brad Holmes knows how to upgrade this offense.
Exactly. Okay? That's what I meant. That's part of what I meant.
You're looking at a draft class that, in my opinion, has 2 candidates for Rookie of the Year on both sides of the ball. That's Brian Branch and that's Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta, in my opinion, has what it takes to be the next great tight end for the next 5 to 10 years if he keeps this up. All pro quality shit. All right. Yeah,
Jahmyr Gibbs, I heard, has a negative a WAR of like negative 1.3. I heard from Jeff Moss on X.
I'm not even worried. I'm not even worried about Jeff. He's only getting warmed up. And not to mention, you don't want to batter up and use up your rookie. Because what?
No.
It's his rookie year. You don't want to use him up and have, God forbid, he gets hurt especially if you're just having to make the playoffs.
Exactly, because David Montgomery has brought the veteran presence to Detroit.
Exactly. The experience, not to mention being 30 pounds heavier, means what? He's able to take those hits, carry that load, be that sledgehammer to balance out what Jameer can give to you on other sides of the offense. Stop thinking about your fucking fantasy numbers for a second and think about common football sense.
Analytics. Forget fantasy. It's analytics that we're talking about here.
Right. Are these the things that are helping our team win games? Yes or no? And from what I've seen so far, it's helping us win. So guess what? So if you're going to be crying about, oh, J-Mo didn't do this, he didn't catch this pass, oh, they're not giving Gibbs enough touches, shut up. They're 4-1, they're first place in their division, they're 2.5 games out, they're going to, what else do you want?
The Packers fell to 2-3 with a 17-13 loss at the Las Vegas Raiders this past Monday Night Football.
The division is going to fall on its own face this year. This
2-game lead record-wise.
This is yours to lose. Just keep handling your business. And what, you want to find something to complain about? Please. Do you know how long I have begged for moments and times like this where, hey, my team's sitting in first place, they got their shit straight, and I got nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
Please.
Time to play the game, as Triple H would say. All right, so let's continue.
By the way, we didn't even give a prediction for the Tampa game. By the way,
exactly. We were going to continue with that with this preview. So yes, predict, please.
This is a tricky one because I can easily see Tampa finding a way to eke this one out at the very end. But I'm gonna trust my instinct and say that the Lions. It'll be much more of a stiffer test this time than Carolina, but they will find a way to get the win. That 3.5. I don't know about that 3.5. I say the Lions will get it done by a score of by a field goal. Field goal or less will get the job done for Detroit because I'm expecting this to be a tough defensive battle to see who can run the ball more and who can take care of the ball more as well. So once we see again who does a better job of running the ball. And like I said, even if there are takeovers, it's what do you do with the field position? How do you do with the momentum after them is the key thing. So I think it's still going to come down to who does better in the trenches, who does the better job of running the ball, controlling clock. And in that case, I think the Lions are more suited, more experienced in that verse. They know what they have to do, what they want to do and need to do. I think they'll do just enough to get this win, but I think it'll be a close game, close score type of deal, like a 19-16, 17-14. So Lions will win, but it'll be low scoring, and I don't think Tampa. I don't think they'll cover the 3.5.
All right, I'm going to go Lions 20, Buccaneers 17, just to make it more touchdown field goal-ish, and less of the safeties or the 2-point conversions or whatever.
But we both agree that it's going to be a low scoring and more than likely Tampa Lions will not cover. Yeah.
Yep. Regardless. Yep.
By the way, I mentioned why I say this because Tampa is also a top 10 rush defense as well.
3-1 is their record, by the way. The Buccaneers.
Yeah, and also they have weapons of their own. Look out for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin because I know Adam Thielen. He got over 100 yards on y'all last week. By the way, Adam Thielen. Name that I remember from his days in Minnesota. He got good yardage on us again this time around and got a touchdown. So did former Lion DJ Chark. So, if those guys are able to get production on you, just look out for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. That's all I got to say.
Yep, and Jared Goff did well. Got sacked twice, but so and you mentioned the Buccaneers have been averaging 3 sacks per game. That's what Jared Goff and his offensive line had better watch out for.
Yeah, especially with guys like Vita around. Mm-mm.
Yeah. All right.
They did a good job. Containing Brian Burns last week, but we'll see how they do against Vea and the rest of that Bucs D line.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness I'm actually able to watch the game because I switched to the morning shift on the same day, 6 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Samaritas.
Well, hopefully the power doesn't go out on you as it did on me. So last week.
No, it's.
Yeah,
let me check my weather.
Thanks a
I'm
lot,
in.
DTE assholes.
Yeah. Well, I think I should be fine this Sunday. Yeah, Sunday, only 12, only 12-mile-an-hour winds and
Sure,
nine
we'll
mile
see
an hour
about that.
winds. No
We'll
precipit.
see about that.
No precipitation. I can keep track of the weather. I've got consumers energy, not DTE.
Even still,
So
they ain't too exactly looking too much better themselves too in terms of trying to the whole infrastructure and all that. But that's another topic for another day. Like I said, I just
yep,
hope I
I
don't
should
have
be
to be
fine.
relegated. Well, I'm good for your sake. I'm just talking about for me. I just hope I'm not
Oh,
relegated to
oh,
listen
for
to the
you.
radio
Okay.
for the second half. Yeah, I hope because last week I was listening to the radio for the second half, which I don't mind. Kudos to Dan Miller and Lomas Brown, but I like the visual of seeing the touchdowns. I want to see the ass whipping in progress. So hopefully I get to see that instead of
There's
having to
always
just listen
YouTube
to it this time
TV.
around.
There's
Yeah,
always YouTube TV or NFL
let's just
Plus.
let's just say that's just not within
I'm just giving recommendations, by the way.
understandable, and I'll keep that in mind. It's just not going to happen right now.
No, absolutely not. All right, the Red Wings. Yeah, they got their season opener in New Jersey. It's gonna be on ESPN Plus, like $6.99 per month. But I'll uh, I'll go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt. The Red Wings, like we've said over this, like we've covered all summer long. They stacked a bunch of talent, and
Yes.
now they just might make the playoffs, if not win the Stanley Cup.
No, no,
It's
no,
still
that's ways to go. That's ways to
yeah,
go.
it still is a
So
way.
now,
Yeah, but now
to
still
me,
playoffs.
the goal for this year must be playoffs or bust. Period. Because Larkin, this is year 9 for him. He's the captain. He's got his big contract now. You've given him some more help. You've brought in guys like Alistair Brinkett. You've added, 10 new guys in the offseason to the
Yeah,
team. This is the deepest
T-
roster that you have
JT
had in
Copper,
years.
Shane
Yeah,
Gostis
especially
Bear,
Copper. Yeah, especially
yeah,
Copper, for
Justin
example.
Hall,
Right,
James
guys that
Reimer
you're
in
adding.
goal.
Right, guys in goal, guys on the blue line to help out Cider and your other young players as well that I've mentioned that you've already gotten what to build a part of your depth for a reason. So now it's go time. Like you mentioned earlier, Taylor, it's time to play the game. You're damn right it is. It's time to make the playoffs. It's been
Yep,
far too long since the Red Wings have been out of the playoffs. No, no, no. That
they
shit
got
needs to stop this
Rasmussen's
year.
back. Rasmussen back.
Yeah, right. That needs to stop this year. So hopefully, if they get into a situation to like what we saw last year, where they had all the momentum in the world, and then they got their asses smoked in back-to-back games by the Senators that killed all their chances. Hopefully, we see the reverse of that.
That's
We
called
see them continue
taking your
on.
foot off the pedal, the acceleration
Taking
pedal.
no, that's no, that's called you weren't ready yet. You weren't at that next level. You didn't develop yet. There's still levels to this. Hopefully, after what you've gone through last year and making additions this past off season, you're at that next level now to where you won't fold like that. You won't fold like a lawn chair, and you'll be find ways to win those extra games and get a wild card spot at the very most.
Yep, exactly. Well,
Don't get me wrong. I'm still on the Eiserplan train. But
they're still
still,
making progress.
you gotta give, yeah. But you still gotta produce results. And I think this is year 4 now. It's time to make the playoffs. Period.
Yep.
You got the new coach in. You've got new staffs in. You've got new players in. It's time to put up a shot now. Make the playoffs.
Exactly.
It's been too long since we've watched meaningful hockey in this town. That's got to end now.
Yeah, it's got to end now. It's got to end this season. All right, one more thing before we come to the what we learned segment. The Pistons in their preseason opener gave up 46 points in the first quarter and fell behind by as many as almost 30. But they came back to force overtime all of a sudden somehow, and still they lose 130 to 126 to the contending Phoenix Suns in overtime in their preseason opener at Little Caesars Arena. But the one thing that the Pistons have to work on is their defense. and that's something Monty Williams has to look at.
Well, that comes down to finding the right starters, the right group in terms of on the floor who can give you the right space, who can give you the right perimeter defense. I will believe, in terms of finding your best defensive lineup, it would have to include a combination of Kay Cunningham, Jaden. Well, I can't say Jaden Ivey because his defense is not good, not that
No,
good. But you got to get Cade in there. You got to have Asar Thompson in there, and you got to have Jalen Duren in there. Those three have got to be, in my opinion, uh, have heavy minutes or be your starters. And Thompson, the way he's been playing, he's been playing like he's going to be a starter. That's just my uh, early observation of that.
that's already good
Worth noting,
development too.
exactly. Good for him and good for the staff to know they've got in Thompson and what they're trying to develop. Kind of funny, worth noting that this was like his baptism by fire for his very first like legit NBA game. Oh yeah, you're gonna guard Devin Booker. Good luck with that. But he held his. I think he did an okay job. D Book, as you know, Grand Rapids native. He loves any and all thing in terms of Detroit sports. Even though he plays for Phoenix. He was legit at the Lions game just a couple hours earlier, and then he came over, played the first half of the Pistons game, checked out. But I think he had himself a good time. I think he got to meet Calvin Johnson at the Lions game. Was rocking Cabrera's jersey. You know, hell, I think Eminem was at the Lions game as well too. So
He
you
was
see what happens.
evidently.
See what
Yep.
happens when you win games and you outperform expectations. You get good shit like this. But anyway, back to this point with the Pistons. A couple of things. Asar Thompson, like I mentioned, he may be, and I think he should be a starter the way he keeps playing. And in my opinion, what does that mean? You're going to have to move a couple of guys, may move a guy or two to the second unit, to the bench potentially. I could see Isaiah Stewart being one. Yes, I could even see Jaden Ivey being another, strictly because of his on ball defense, strictly because of that. What that means is, though, you add potential helpful pieces, or give you potential better groupings for your second unit that can give you better production. You know, no, you don't have to worry of guys like Corey Joseph handling the ball for the most part for the second unit. You can rely more on a Killian Hayes to hopefully get better. You can rely more on a Jaden Ivey to run things for your second unit potentially. Or the rookie Asar Thompson getting a much needed minutes with the second unit as well. Isaiah Livers coming back, for example. I think, and like I said, Beef Stew being on the second, being the backup in some instances, as opposed to being on the starting unit, gives you better floor spacing with your with your five guys out there at all times. And I think, like I said, gives you much better leeway of what you can do with your second unit as opposed to your starters.
Yeah. So what I'm focusing on is the head coach and his coaching staff, Monty Williams, to develop the entire team's defense. Not You can't just count on three guys. You got to try to develop every single player as well, including Jaden Ivey. I know his defense is not good yet. He's still
It's
young.
not good now, but it should. But that's why you have the staff in place now. You want to have that be
Development, not
as
time.
an emphasis.
Development.
Right, you want that to be as that emphasis. Even Troy Weaver has mentioned one of the core values, one of the core pillars of what it is what the Pistons is known for is what defense. You got to get back to that. And I think one also key factor to all of this is, of course, what your number one pick, your franchise player, your guy, your centerpiece, Cade Cunningham. This is year 3. He has a lot to prove after getting his second season cut short with that shin injury. People are already on his head trying to say he's a bust, he's this and that. I say it's going to be K time this year. He's going to be ready to arrive and make a statement.
Oh yeah. We're gonna see what happens down the road. So I'm gonna have to be subscribed to ESPN Plus for the entire Red Wings and Pistons season. To be quite honest. Heck, even for inside analysis articles as well. It's not too expensive. Not too expensive of
No,
a price per month. Only $6.99 per month,
no.
just like
If
NFL
you're making
Plus.
if you're making good money paycheck to paycheck, it shouldn't be a problem. It's a drop in the bucket.
Exactly. All right. So, like I mentioned in this episode, lots on our plate. So, what did we learn in terms of what we talked about tonight?
Well, we learned that Mel Tucker, he may not be a sexual predator, but he's still an absolute fucking moron that deserves to get fired. We learned
Mm-hmm.
that Michigan State Mace is still in a rough patch in terms of trying to getting over this whole entire mess while still conducting a football season at the same time. We've learned that they may have to go with a new starting quarterback. We've learned that Michigan has finally hit that second gear. They're in midseason form. They're handling their business the way they should be. And in my opinion, it's all part of one continuing narrative. Finish the story, win the national championship. And what we learned about the Lions is this. It's everything that we could have wanted and then some. This division is theirs to lose. And with these next 3 games coming up, you have a chance to have yourself to make a statement to the rest of this conference and the rest of this whole entire league that we should be a team that is considered, yes, dare I say it, Super Bowl contenders. You can't say it now. You can't say it now, especially with how Philly and oh my God, with what the 49ers are doing. But if you handle your business, if you go, dare I, let's say 2-1 in this next 3 games, or dare I say 3-0, and you're looking at 7-1 at the bye week, or even no worse than a 6-2, you're looking at yourself as, hey, we're one of the best 3 teams in the NFC, and we have a legit shot at beating anyone in this league. And what we learned about the Red Wings is it's simple. It's playoff or bust. It's
Yep.
what it comes down to what can the new additions do for you? What can Dylan Larkin as your service prove to you? Because this is his first year of his new contract, and frankly, it's time to see results for the Isaac plan. It's playoffs or bust. And what we learned about the Pistons that it's still you see some excitement with what you want to see in the future, but it's a long road to that prosperity.
Yeah, it is. That's going to take at least a few more years before the Pistons become at least playoff contenders again.
Listen, you're at this point, you're hoping that the Pistons can try to win 30 games this year. That's my ceiling for them.
Yeah,
Get the
exactly.
30, I'll throw a party.
Yep. Yeah, that's progress. That's let's hope that happens. So that's all of what we've learned in our episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. Follow the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth. Like its Facebook page. Subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Like our videos and turn on all notifications on the bell icon. Follow it and listen to it in audio form on Spreaker. Yep, it's on Spreaker. Follow me on Twitter or X, TikTok, and Instagram at DT2Phillips. Subscribe to my YouTube at DT2Phillips. Also on Twitch, DT2Phillips1984. Follow the returning Ed Smith on X, Instagram, and Twitch at EdSmith313, and subscribe to his YouTube at EdSmith313. Business shoutouts go to Athletico Physical Therapy on Woodward in Ferndale. Cali Tickets 877-225-8425 or visit CaliTickets.com. Get a hold of Mark Goldman. Creative Embroidery of Cadillac for designing the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast logo on my long sleeve shirt and t-shirt. Cuts by Melanie in Lake City. I may have to get another one like a couple weeks or so. Let's roll with it. Roll it ice cream in Cadillac. Check out their flavor of the week on their Facebook page. Now already branded with the Food Mafia. Follow them on TikTok at the Food Mafia LLC. You got to try some rolled ice cream. Northern Star Event Rentals in Cadillac, 231-884-8195, and on Facebook. And United Food Service Solutions of Grand Ledge, Michigan. We'll be back next week. Until then, for Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. So long, and remember, we observe and detect the truth about Michigan sports. Stay on the lookout, and stay aware, and stay smart, everyone.
All right, baby. All right, people, be safe. Go Blue and go Lions.
Exactly. Go Wings, too.